All right, so this is the final product after everything is done. So recap on what we did today. We first started out by making all of our tags for our main crops as well as our companion crops. And then I went ahead, as I was making out the tags, I went through each of the plants and I checked to see which ones were in good health. I discarded maybe about a total of 5 plants today, but everything else, I went through each of the individual containers and I separated them out into their own individual containers, as you can see here. Hey guys, welcome back to the garden. So today is a big day. I'm doing the final transplant of all of my seedlings before they make the journey to Gigi's garden next week. So everything from my peppers to my tomatoes to cabbage to basil, it's all here. And it's time to get serious, you guys. I'm always talking every week about all the plant chores I have to do. Now we really have to get into the details. So I'm literally going through every single plant and I'm doing three main things. I'm creating tags for each of my seedlings. I'm separating the seedlings out that are more than one seedling per pod so they have space. And then lastly, I am organizing each of the individual seedlings in the containers that I will ultimately use to transport them to Gigi's garden. So right here, these are my cucumber seedlings. They are doing quite well, actually. What I'm doing right here is I am kind of fine-tuning my process that I'm using to remove the seedlings from that base. So it's kind of a combination of tugging and shaking and gently coaxing them out. I don't want to damage the roots. That's very important. And cucumbers specifically are known for not being very aligned with the transplant process. They don't really do very well when you try to transplant them, is what I'm told, is what I hear. So I'm trying to do the best I possibly can to make this easy and to hopefully not lose all of my seedlings. But so far so good. As you'll see, the process that I do here is fairly gentle. So whether you are in the throes of prepping your own spring garden or you just want to take a peek at what I'm doing with mine, you are definitely in the right spot. We are doing all the things today and then some, and loving every single minute of it. So let's keep growing. All right, so what we're doing right now is I actually just finished repotting, creating tags, reorganizing all of my seedlings. We are down to the final wire, like so the point where I can no longer push tasks off. I got to get them done. And like I said before, we're getting them done. So I'll show you kind of what I've just finished doing. But before I do that, I wanted to show you the last piece that I'm finishing off right now, which is repotting some of my more, what do they call it? Leggy plants. And yeah, I'm going to separate them and repot them just to take care of them that way. But these are literally the last like 5 or so, and I really only have to repot like 4 of them. So let me show you. So like I said, clearly I've been busy. We got the tags, the dirt, everything going, but I'm at the very end here. And I just finished repotting. This is my white yarrow plant. So I ran out of the smaller ones. I just put one of them in this big one. This was a leggy plant I didn't take a picture of before, but basically what leggy means is this. There's a lot of stem and it's not very, what's the word? There's a lot of stem and it's not very strong. And so these are very leggy, and I'll explain why in a second. But I just finished repotting these 2 yarrows, or splitting them up. They were together in the small one, and I just put them into 2. Yarrow is not going into Gigi's garden. That is something that I planted for myself, just to see how it turns out. It's a medicinal herb, so I want to kind of experiment with it. But I planted them nonetheless, and so I separated them out so they have their space. But the last thing for the garden, so we have, are these sunflower seedlings. Now, right here we have our thyme seedlings. Obviously, I'm not going to replant those. You can see they're very small. And the seeds are very, very tiny. I basically just sprinkled seeds in there, and there's a bunch. So when I plant these, I'm going to take the bunch out and put them in the ground and let them do their thing. All right, so we're going to start repotting these. As you can see, this was actually just supposed to be sunflowers, but I let some, I think that's bunching onions slip in there, so they started growing. I'm going to let them live. Just trying to figure out, because I don't really have a lot of extra space. I'll take them out and put them somewhere. But yeah, for now we need to separate these 2, give them all the space they need. And I think what I'm actually going to do is try to put all of these sunflowers in these bigger containers. There's a little more depth. And so that'll let me bury them just a tad bit more. And actually something interesting I just noticed, if you see this here, if you look at this seedling here, get it to focus for us. If you look at this seedling, you see the base of this plant is really smooth. And then as you get up here, it's kind of like fuzzy to you guys. It's hairy. So these, from my understanding, are spots where the plant could potentially produce roots. So as you can see, what happened is, as it started growing up, now the reason why these are leggy is because the light source in my germination station was not quite enough for the amount of plants. I didn't realize that until they started growing and I could see. So I really needed like double the amount of lights on each shelf for the amount of seedlings that I had. Lesson learned though. And so because there wasn't enough light, one of the results of that is your plants will start to grow towards the light source, making them really leggy and sometimes not very strong. So, so that's what happened here. This extra part, like from here to here, probably shouldn't be as long, but it's long because the plants are made to survive. It was trying to get to that light source. And so, yeah, that's what it did. So again, so let me show you my little process here. So I have my bag of Miracle Grow soil down here. And what I'm doing is I'm taking this container and I am scooping full container of dirt here. Once I have a full container, I'm just bringing it to the counter. And since I know what I'm doing here, I'm going to scoop all of these up, and then I'll show you what I do next. Okay. So now that we have these all full, like I said, there's a reason why my station is so dirty. It's because I figure let it get dirty once, clean it once, be done with it. But, so this is what we're doing now. So now, I just dump the dirt out, like that. And then, kind of just go when I feel like a small layer at the bottom, depending on how deep I plan to do the roots. So, just for this one, just enough, literally, to coat the bottom. Okay. A hot drink break. Hot chocolate. Okay. So this is what, now that I have all of my cups full, we're gonna go ahead and separate these seedlings. So like I said, I'll show you the rest, what they look like, but basically I'm gonna kind of show you my process here. So I take, and one of the things that I found is that when taking these out, it's best if the soil is pretty much dripping wet. It just makes them come out easier, and it appears to be less stress on the actual plants themselves. What I do is I wet them first, and then I kind of roll and lightly squeeze and shake, and I just do a combination of that basically until it falls out. Now, depending on how many roots are actually in the container, wow, as you can see, these sunflowers, as you would expect, have roots all the way around. Wow, a lot of them are actually still stuck in there. That's it. All right, so you do that. Then, depending on the seedling, they're all a little bit different. But for the most part, I just kind of finger detangle, essentially here. And I do that until the seeds basically just separate. So now we have 2 sunflower seeds, and I'm going to plant them into 2 of these containers. So next, I empty another one out. Actually, I have one over here. So here's the one that I put a little soil in the bottom. And the reason why for these I'm just putting just enough in that bottom is because I want to get as much depth in this as possible, because these are very leggy plants. So I'm putting just enough to fill that bottom. Maybe a little bit more in there, but not hardly anything, because we want it to drop right up in there like that. See? So we're just gonna plant it in there, and I'm just gonna sit it on the bottom, and I'm gonna hold it with one hand, and I'm gonna scoop dirt in with the other. One of the things that I also do while I'm doing this process is I make sure to sift the dirt so that it's nice and light, and so then I'm not packing it in and causing the plant to be all discombobulated. And give a little shake to reorganize things in there. And I'm gonna keep adding until it's just flat against the surface of the cup. So I'm almost gonna overfill it, just because with the soil, when it's fluffy like this, you don't know really where. It's harder to tell. But there we go. And then I labeled each plant. And then as I was going through, I clipped off any dying leaves, and I made sure any leggy plants that they were also transplanted a little bit deeper into the soil. So as you can see here, our first bin here is our tomatoes and cucumber seedlings. They're all in individual pots. We have a total of 6 cucumbers. I don't have enough space to plant all of those. I decided to let them all grow. And when it comes time to transplanting, then I will pick the best 3 or 4 to go into the ground. And then the remaining ones, we'll figure out what we do with them from there. Then I have my tomato plants. Unfortunately, when I was planting these, you guys might remember from a previous video, I decided to have the bright idea to soak all the seeds, and some of the seeds got mixed up. So I'm not sure which variety of tomato plants these actually are. I just put out some tags that say cherry tomatoes and some that say Roma. I do know, however, that I planted some Roma tomatoes, some Gardener's Delight tomatoes, and I think those are the only 2. So when they start growing, we'll figure out what we have. But we have, between those 2, we have a bunch of seedlings here. And those seedlings are actually doing really well. I actually pulled all 4 of those tomato plants from one pod. So they're doing really, really good. Over here, we have our broccoli seedlings. We have some late cabbage, and then some Copeland cabbage. So it's our earlier harvest cabbage. And then we have our pepper seedlings. They're doing very well. Also, very healthy. Here's 3 of them. I'll show you on the next shelf. There's a couple more up there. Then round back. So you guys know I love order. So I basically organize all of my seedlings so that all the similar types are together. So in this back one, we have collards, curly kale, dino kale, and then I have a couple of butter crunch lettuce in there. I had a lot as I was going through. I have a lot of curly kale and dino kale seedlings. Definitely will not be able to plant all of them. I'll plant as many as I possibly can, and the remainder maybe we'll do like in a container or something like that. And then the butter crunch. So actually, butter crunch, I think I'm trying to say, I think the butter crunch is harvestable within like 40 days, 30 to 40 days. So it actually can be direct sown. These seedlings are not looking so great, but I still transplanted them because they were already starting, and I figured get them some space, get them some new digs. We got a full light system here. If in the next 7 to 10 days they bounce back, great. If not, we'll direct sow them in the ground. No harm, no foul, because it's a pretty quick harvest crop. I'll actually pull it out so you can see. Am I going to do that? Probably not. Let's do it like this. So this container has most of my companion seeds, which are pretty much my herbs. So we got our thyme, we got purple basil. I did not separate this one out. Honestly, I forgot. So I'll probably go back and do it. You can notice I did make 2 tags for that very reason. But it's no big deal. I'm not going to do it right now. Purple basil, we have some regular Italian sweet basil, rosemary, oregano, some more rosemary. These are the ones that have sprouted. I have more containers because I planted more than I would need that have not started sprouting yet. The reason why I separated them is because I need to know what all I have ready to transport in a week. And because these are already above the ground, in a week I know I'll have these. Those other ones, if they surprise me and they start coming up, then we'll see if they look good. If not, then they'll just be here and I'll make a little herb garden here, which I already am. So they'll just get added to my garden. All right, so these are the main crops. Up here on the next level, we have the last few. So we have these, so you'll see I repotted them each into their own separate container to give them a little more support. Then I just planted some sage seeds today, and I replanted my cilantro. I had cilantro planted before in 3 containers, but nothing was coming up. So I planted it again. We'll see what happens. And then here are the 2 pepper plants I was telling you about. And of course, this is something I'm really excited about. So I had, for the first time ever, a yellow grapefruit, probably about like 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was so delicious. I decided to save the seeds, and I figured, you know what? I don't know anything about fruit trees or planting. I don't know not a thing about planting fruit trees or making them grow or anything like that. But what I do know is I love me some grapefruit. So I decided to plant those today. We'll let them do what they do. When it gets to start sprouting above ground, we'll figure out what we need to do to take care of them. I planted a total of 4 seeds. Yeah, there's 2 up here and then 2 down here on the bottom low. I just wanted to make sure I was doing the best with space. So this is what we're looking like on the final week before we do some transplanting. Oh, update, if you're curious, remember I was telling you how I was going to empty this out and I was waiting on a couple of plants. So here it is in the back. It's kind of at this odd angle, but you can see the yellow, right? Look at that, my yellow hot pepper plant. So this one's yellow. I don't know if it's gonna get longer than that, but we have 2 more on here. They have a timeline. Like, they got 7 days. I'll be leaving in 7 days. In 7 days, I need to clean this bad boy out before I go. And whatever is not harvestable, I don't know. We're just gonna have to, we'll see. But as you can see, Bertha, she's doing her thing. After I harvested all of the ripe fruit, she has new fruit showing, popping back up. So maybe that'll be a reason not to cut everything down, because she has actually quite a few fruit coming up here. LB, I probably could take her out, but